Hopefully this doesn't crash my computer. Seems to be working fine. Oh man. Things running okay? I hope so. Seems to be running okay, I think. Not getting the sound yet, but seems to be running okay. There we go. Yeah. Um yeah, man. We've let's start. It's currently September 12th. It's 1:47 in the morning. And it is 2025. September 10th was probably one of the worst days in American history. We've lost amazing man. A man that I personally respected quite a lot. A man that I've actually gone to bat for, not only like in school and at work, but in my personal life, and I've always respected Charlie Kirk. I'm not gonna act like I'm his biggest fan or anything. This isn't about me, of course. It's beyond me, but I am certainly affected. I'm first and foremost praying for his family. During his assassination, I was sleeping, and when I woke up, it was all I had heard about for hours, and I couldn't think about anything else, honestly. It was entirely consuming. There was nothing else to think about but Charlie Kirk's assassination. And that really got to me. I spent the entirety of my workday thinking about it, and I didn't know why it was affecting me so much. Obviously, I've heard that a lot. A lot of people were more heavily affected by this than anything else that they've ever experienced, and there's several reasons I've come to kind of process. I really just need to get this off my chest, because it feels like it's going to strangle me if I don't. I have to do something. I can't sit back and just stay quiet. I've never been the kind of guy to stay quiet when I get emotional. It's not the kind of thing I do. My beliefs are very strong. I do not allow them to stay hidden. Some people say, oh, my beliefs shouldn't color my judgment, and I say my judgment should not cover my beliefs. It's a dark time in American history right now. And I am appalled, and I'm shocked, and I was in shock for many, many hours after I've learned about it. But yeah, I woke up, and I heard the news, and I thought it was a joke at first. I thought, oh, yeah, we're always talking about that darn left. They're gonna kill all of us, they hate us so much. Because we do. We know that they're trying to kill us, but, we always seem to bounce back. We always have this way of, surviving. It's what we do. We survive. But, yeah, I kept looking, and, this was around 8 p.m. my time, so, he was already pronounced dead when I woke up. The first thing I checked Twitter was, Barack Obama, and he was saying that we don't know the motive of the killer. And I was like, this is the real Barack Obama account. Barack Obama is talking about this. Barack Obama wouldn't make a joke about leftists killing Republicans because he's the leftist that wants to kill Republicans. So this isn't a joke anymore. This is serious. And I just kept seeing more and more people talking about him, like that sissy boy that always like tries to get people to give their kids over to CPS because they believe that men and women shouldn't be in the same bathrooms. This is like Charlie Kirk's worst enemy. I hated this guy. I still do. And he was crying about it, and I was like, what? He wouldn't be crying over a joke. I don't understand. And then I saw the video. And I've seen some pretty awful videos in my time, you know. I've seen horrible, horrible things. But this was gruesome. Was probably not the most gruesome thing I've ever seen, honestly. I've seen ISIS videos, I've seen all these other kinds of videos. I think it's the fact that I respected Charlie so much that got to me personally. And, you know, he actively stood against violence, and, you know, he was the most innocent of us. You know, he didn't believe in ever being violent with someone because of their opinions. He stood there and he stood his ground, but he never got violent. He was a great man. He was, as a lot of people put it, and it's very true, he was the best of us. Sorry, I still haven't gotten out all the emotions. I need to make this video, I do. Because, you know, a part of me always wanted to do what Charlie Kirk did. I don't have the money to do it, obviously. I can't afford to go across the nation and, you know, go to different college campuses and set up and have teams of people coordinate which colleges want to have me and do all this stuff. And I'm probably not well-spoken enough to do it, honestly. And I don't control my temperature as well as Charlie Kirk did. He was very good at controlling his temperature. He never incriminated himself. I would probably get a little bit more angry than he did in reality at some of these people. I don't have as much faith in humanity as Charlie did. I think that is a lot of what really surprised me about this. Because if they're killing the people who have faith in them on our side, then why should we have faith in them, you know? Days before we were horrified by this news, I think it was the day before, or maybe 2 days before, I was talking to a particular left-wing associate at my job, and we were talking about how, you know, I believe that abortion is murder, and I believe that it's a horrible, horrible thing, and it's never justifiable. And, you know, he was just confused as to why I kept bringing it up, and I was like, I just feel like I should, and I feel like it's the right thing to talk about right now. I talked about it pretty much the entire day while I was working. And, you know, Charlie Kirk came up in discussion a couple of times, and one time this particular associate was joking about how it was, funny how Charlie Kirk mistook a like dolphin fetus for a human fetus because he claimed that it was a human, and then this other guy was all like, actually that was a dolphin fetus. So do you think dolphins are humans? And it's like, funny, you really got him. And he was laughing at it, and I was like, he didn't claim to be a psychic, so he's not gonna see through every trick and all that, it's fine, but yeah. That's just one of the things I think is so strangely coincidental that, like it happened now of all times. It's like I knew something was coming. I just couldn't possibly imagine what. And this is far worse than anything I could have ever wanted to imagine. And I want me as a person, I want to go do something about this. I want to make a difference. And I don't think I can, in all honesty. I'm probably not able to do anything. I am not that big of a voice online. I pretty much have no real audience, obviously. But I really want to make a difference. And, a difference starts with small steps. And right now, the only step I can think to make is talking about Charlie and how much I respect him. I still do respect him, and I really hope right now he's smiling down and, he's happy with the difference he's made on Earth. He was the best of us, truly. I don't think that there was anyone as peaceful as Charlie was. And a large part of me wants to honor that, say, I know we're all having very, very emotional feelings, but what's important is to honor Charlie's legacy right now. We can't go and get violent. That's what a part of me wants to say. And I think that's the Christian part of me, obviously. I do. We should obviously not go out and attack people for their beliefs. That would not be what Charlie would want. It might be what some of us want, obviously, because we're not as good as Charlie. We're not. Charlie was a great man. We are not all great men. But it would be disrespectful to Charlie to go out and do the things he was so heavily against. So I personally will not be doing anything to harm Charlie's legacy. And I hope that none of you will either. I just want to talk about, everything I feel. Um, I'm just a drop in the bucket, but every drop, I think it counts. There are people donating water bottles to the bucket of, how we all respect Charlie, and I'm happy just to contribute whatever little I can. There's pillagers. But yeah, it's a bad day. And it's gonna be Bad week, probably. I'm I'm very upset, as I think we all should be. We all should have seen this coming, but it doesn't make it better. Hoping they can't spawn in the tower. Can they spawn in the tower? I feel like they have to spawn quite a ways out. Right? Yeah, okay. They have to spawn outside the tower, pretty sure. You come a little bit closer, sir. I'm... Yeah, you come up here. And die. Thank you. But, you know, I do think that there's probably going to be some people who disrespect Charlie's wants and wishes, you know, because it is a country where we are very divided, and that division is only going to get worse when one side of the party continuously kills and murders. And that's what they've been doing for a while now. Whether it's girls on the train or it's popular political figures on a bench, you know, it makes no difference, but they really chose a bad target this time. If what they wanted to do was spark a revolution, they have chosen the right target. But, yeah, it's a complicated issue. Certainly, the best target to prevent violence on their side, you know, because we will not be emboldened in ways that we would have been if, say, they attacked Nick Fuentes. I don't think I would care as much, but, you know, obviously, Nick Fuentes is a person just like every other person. We shouldn't go killing people because of their political opinions. Jeez, that guy really hurts me. Maybe I should equip my armor. Probably a good idea. Why are you still up there? Can you come down here? Thank you. Um, I can't possibly fathom what they really wanted out of this. Because the person is going to be found, and they're going to be put to jail, and it's going to make a big deal. And the person was apparently very likely trans. And it's going to do a huge disservice to their community, if that's true. I honestly could not fathom why they would do it, other than their own satisfaction. Their own sick, horrible satisfaction of being able to put their name in a history book because of how horrible they were. It's the same as Hitler, truly. You know, it's the same sickness Hitler had, where Hitler would sit there and say that, you know, we should kill all of these people, we should not allow them to live. It's no different. Oh no, not you. I find it increasingly hard to even, like, try and process what happened, because, it does feel like it shouldn't be real, like it was just some prank, a joke, something that went too far, and, I'm gonna wake up and it's been a dream, but I've slept twice since it happened, and it's not a dream, that's for sure. It is, something that really happened. No matter how much I wish it didn't happen, it definitely did. In these times, it's really important that we lean on God. It's even more important that we lean on God than we lean on Charlie's desire, because Charlie, first and foremost, was a man of God. And then he was a Republican, and then he was an American, and there might have been a couple of steps out of that order, of course. He was a family man, a neighbor, a citizen. And that was one of the things he preached. Can you not break my grass, please? Thank you. That's one of the things I don't like about the backpack switcher. But anyway, did you guys get reset? I think one of the most important things for us right now as a society is that we can't back down and stop saying what we think, because that is the worst thing we can do, in my opinion. If we back down now and we say that, well, I'm scared to express my political beliefs, that will only embolden future killers. What we have to do is we have to go out there and we have to express even more than we would have without this, and I understand if you fear for your life. I do. And I am a cowardly man hiding behind a VTuber model. I'm not showing my face, so I understand that, you may not want to go out there, but I will be going out in person and talking about my faith and my political beliefs, and it's not going to prevent me from doing anything I would have already done, and if anything, it's just going to embolden me to do it more. I won't be shut up because of some murderer. Uh, you know, I don't have everything Charlie has. He has a family, he has a loving wife, he has loving children, and a small part of me wonders why it had to be a man with so much. And when I come home, I have my mom, and, that's really all I have. He has a mom too, and he has family, and he has a lot more than I have. A lot more people respect him and look up to him, and of course that's why it happened to him, is because he was effective with his messaging. If he wasn't effective with his messaging, he wouldn't have made it to the point where he was at. The point there where he is now. His work isn't undone because he's gone. If anything, his work stands stronger now than ever. It's hard to see what God has in store for us, but this was God's plan. Everything that happens is directly influenced by God, and He has a reason for it, and it's important to know that. I don't think, America is the most important thing in God's eyes. I do still think that, Israel is still God's major plan. Whether or not Israel means the nation state or the people who believe in him, I don't want to get into that. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. I respect the country, and I respect their right to defend themselves, just like Charlie did. That was one of the things that me and Charlie agree on. I agreed with Charlie on most things, in truth. That's probably also another one of the things that have made this affect me so much, because I don't think there's really anything Charlie spoke about that I didn't agree with. In fact, when I was in 11th grade, I didn't start listening to him in 11th grade, but when I was in 11th grade and he was speaking about how the Constitution was written and all the states' own constitutions, how they were all based around Christianity and stuff, I took his words, and I really fought with my school board about it, and I got kicked out of a class. I didn't get any farther than that because I didn't have any plan to fight back further than that. I just get kicked out of the class. I think I should have fought more personally, because they were changing curriculums and stuff over this, and it was that the founding fathers weren't Christian. And I was like, well, hold on. I think like the majority of them were, and 9 out of like 12, I think, of the original states all made you declare that you were Christian to be running in government. So, like, you would think, I think 8 declared that you were specifically Protestant, and 1 declared that you were Catholic. Like, that is expressly as that's as Christian as you can get, right? Like, you have to declare that you're Christian and that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. And the school board was basically saying, no, actually, you're wrong. They weren't Christian. And, I was like, there are letters of them discussing God, talking back and forth. And they were all like, well, yeah, they weren't Christian. They were deists. And I was like, hold on. They believed that Jesus Christ was their Lord and Savior. Well, they believed in a God, but that he left them and that he abandoned them. And I'm like, well, hold on. No. Maybe like 2 of them, but like not the majority of them. And, like Charlie Kirk really emboldened my argument. Because without him, I might have actually believed that. I might have just taken their word for it and said, hey, the founding fathers weren't Christian, like, but they were. And it was a time in my life where I realized I couldn't keep quiet on stuff. I never could, but that was the time where I really stepped up, and I noticed that was who I was. I was the guy who was going to make a fuss about stuff. I don't sit back and let things happen, and that was a large part realized due to Charlie Kirk. It could have happened to anyone. It could have happened to You know, like any political influencer on the right. And it is partially a right versus left issue. It is. It's a good versus evil issue, as a lot of people are saying that's true, but it is on large part right versus left because the right does not talk like this. If the right talked like this, we'd go to jail because the left, like, has such a stranglehold on making themselves the victim. Like, you can't be a victim and on the right. It's just not how it works anymore, you know? It's... Your victimhood is purely based on what side of the aisle you're on, and if you're on the side that is, you know, the not only the people in power, because that doesn't matter, because when they're in power, they can still be the victims, but also, you know, just the people who are victimized in their mind. You know, it's what the left has made themselves out to be, is these are the people who can be victims, and anyone who disagrees with them has to be the perpetrator. And truthfully, that's been a genius technique, because, you know, even now, people are saying, like, they're happy that Charlie Kirk is dead. And, you know, obviously, that's one of the most evil things that someone can say, you know? It's like, this man who stood for nothing but peace and prosperity for all people and wanted the best for everyone. This is the man who you wanted dead. You can say, well, he hated trans people, or, well, he hated these people, and there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of him ever hating these people. There's only evidence of him spending his entire life trying to talk to them. And, you know, he even let people disagree and walk away. It's not like he was forcing them to talk to him. He just wanted to talk. There's no more peaceful thing you can do. And they killed him. And he's dead. And it's going to be very hard to stay peaceful after that. Because even if you're peaceful, they're going to take you out with a sniper rifle from, like, 1,000 yards away. And it's so rage-inducing to me to think that, you know, people have said to me that, you know, your side lacks empathy, and your side is this, and it's evil, and our side is the ones who are empathetic, and we save people, you guys just put them down. It seems just to be the opposite to me, and I understand that, you know, it's really hard to look at yourself and say, well, maybe I'm wrong. That's really hard to do. I understand it. Really, I do. But in these times where your side has committed an act so awful, and there are people cheering for it, and you can say, sure, certainly, it's wrong to cheer for him. Some people can't even say that. And I applaud anyone who can say that it's wrong to cheer for it. And I can applaud anyone who says it's wrong to kill people on the other side, just because they're on the other side. I can applaud that. I can. I don't want to, because it shouldn't be worthy of applause, but in this time, it apparently is. Like, just think about it. Like, why should we have to applaud for people because they think it's wrong to kill? That is where we are, you know? It's like, yes, good job. You're not a unhinged sociopath or something. Like, I guess that's a good thing. Good job, left-wingers. You're not killing people personally or cheering for their deaths. That's where we are. It's at that level. I truly, I can't fathom where we go from here. Because, you know, even as myself, a Christian man, I am struggling to not be filled with rage. I'm doing my best, and, you know, Jesus says, being filled with rage is a sin, especially for those who have not committed any crime. You are filled with a rage against a people who have not committed any crime. You are a sinner. Of course, I know I'm a sinner, but that doesn't mean that it's okay to do another sin. However, I also believe that it is completely acceptable to advocate for the death penalty of the man who killed Charlie Kirk. It was a man. I don't care if they come out and say it was a trans woman. It was a man. That's not hate. That is reality. And if that gets me killed, if they somehow track me down, okay, I will accept that. Obviously, not the best outcome, but God willing, everything by God's plan. Obviously, I don't think I have the reach to even find someone that would be willing to track me down. Maybe one day I will have that reach and they'll find this clip. Who knows? I have no idea. No idea how we got to this part in history. I know that we've been here for a while. I have no idea how we got here. How many years has it been since it's been acceptable to kill people because of their opinions? I don't know how long it's been. It's been a while. Been at least since Obama. Maybe even before Obama. It's hard to say anything with certainty. It's hard to even remember what I'm doing. Keeping a head on straight, Doing simple things like filling in the dirt's probably the only thing I could do realistically without messing up right now. It's a hard time for all of us, really. There was a local gathering in my area at a college at 10 p.m., but unfortunately I was at work at 10. If I wasn't going to work that day, I really wish I could have made it to that. And the entire day during work, I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. You know, not everyone obviously was in shock because not everyone at my job is as in touch with this kind of stuff as I am. I'm very interested in politics personally, and not everyone is. And not everyone is on my side, and the people who weren't on my side obviously didn't care as much. You know, when your enemy gets killed, it's not as touching as when your ally gets killed. That's what we are, truly. You know, we may all be Americans, but at the end of the day, the right and left, we're at odds with each other. We are not friendly. And, you know, that's what Charlie Cook wanted us to be, is, you know, just people who talk to each other. And we didn't want to be considered enemies. We wanted to be considered comrades in arms against what is worst for our nation. And that's not always how politics works, apparently. Sometimes people just want what they want, and even if it kills them and everyone they know, and it's a murderous psychologist, psychotic idea, you know, sometimes people just want what they want. Doesn't matter that their beliefs are absolute evil. Doesn't matter. What matters is that they get it. If they don't get what they want, then, like, what's the point of anything? You know, you might as well go to jail for the rest of your life for killing the people who prevented you from getting what you wanted. I am still kind of questioning everything enough, so I'm sorry if I go quiet for a little while. I'm really lost as to what to say. And a part of me still wants to respond angrily and be upset and never forgive the person who killed Charlie Kirk. I'm doing my best to regulate that. I'm a firm believer in Christ and God, and everything Charlie Kirk stood for was good. Unfortunately, I am not good. No, and I don't always want to stand for what is good. You fighting me, dirt block. There we go. I didn't want to break the lily pad. I like the lily pads on the ground. They're cool. actually was questioning if I'd have enough, but I didn't look in the inventory to see that I had plenty on the inside of my inventory like this. But like, I put them all down, so now I obviously had enough to do that. It is very hard to fathom just how did this happen, you know? And this is, you know, what America is now, though. You know, I do wonder, part of me, like, was this like a CIA plot? Obviously, I have no proof of that other than the fact that the guy had a sniper rifle. That's a pretty hard weapon to get, especially for someone with mental illness. You know, like, I'm not even sure if the weapon was a gun you're legally allowed to have. Don't know. Because, you know, it's a sniper rifle. Typically, you don't need those in self-defense or anything else. I do think that all guns should be legal. That's one thing I believe. I don't think that there should be any guns that are off the table when discussing you know, gun laws and stuff. I think all guns are good, you know, because the founding fathers believe so. You know, we had cannons. Why can't we have, you know, a mortar? I think we should all have mortars. Not all of us, obviously. Some of us probably don't need to have mortars. But, you know, the mentally stable groups of us, probably, it's okay. You know, I really do believe that. I also think it's a dangerous precedent to say that, you know, the mentally unstable can't have anything that the mentally stable have. I do think that's a dangerous precedent. But we're at a time period where we're not putting the mentally unwell in special places. So it's important, I think, that the mentally unwell should go to places for the mentally unwell and not ever, 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 ever come out. But we're not really doing that as a society, you know, like, we're pretty much entirely absolved of that. We don't. We have mental hospitals, sure, but, you know, you leave the mental hospital after a week or two, as long as you say, oh, actually, everything's better. I was almost put into a mental hospital once, but that was completely unnecessary for me. I think we're putting in people who don't need to go to the mental hospital into the mental hospital, and then the people who do need it are being given drugs and treatments instead. You know, like a depressed person doesn't necessarily need to be put into a mental hospital. And that's like, seems to be 90% of who goes there. It's just people with like severe depression and not people with, you know, dysphoria and actual insanity. And then those people should not be let out. It's strange to me that these people with suicide rates that are over, you know, 60%, you know, 48%, why they're allowed to walk around and not be in specialized places for them. Not only safety for them, but for everyone else. You know, maybe I'm wrong and all the information we have on Charlie Kirk's murderer isn't right, because, you know, it's brand new information, and brand new information is usually wrong, you know, like, that's what we usually find out. I don't know, truthfully, if it really was a transgender person or if it wasn't someone just paid by the government to act like a transgender person, but I find it very unlikely that the government wouldn't hire a transgender person, considering how willing they would likely be, as shown off by the people who support them, screaming and shouting at how happy they are that he was being killed. All the people who are happy about Charlie Kirk being murdered are people who agree with the trans agenda, and that is not something you can convince me otherwise of. I'm not saying that all trans people think that Charlie Kirk should have been murdered, but what I am saying is that all the people who are happy about it were trans supporters, if not trans themselves. You know, they were all also likely, Black Lives Matter supporters and all this other stuff, and that's what the left is, it's a party of evil. I really hate that this is how my politics are being shown off for the first time on my channel. Obviously, not an event I wished happened. I truly do hope for the best for their family, the Kirk family. And I wish there was something I could do. But right now those are empty words, because I am just a little guy on the internet with 800 subscribers. I don't make money off of this. I don't have money to support them. I don't think they need money, honestly. They're very successful people, and I'm sure it would be nice to donate to their funeral for Charlie Kirk. But they will blow that out of the water. 10,000,000%. There's no chance that they don't. This is one of the few things that are assured in life, is that no matter where they post that, they will blow past any goal they set. It doesn't matter if they set a million, a billion, or a $1 trillion goal. They will make their goal for the funeral. And as painful as it's probably going to be for the wife, I really hope the wife comes out and addresses that Charlie wouldn't want anything violent to come out of his death. And that'll probably be the best thing for Charlie's message. Really proving he believed what he said, and what he acted in his life was what he really believed, what he taught to his family. And I really hope that his daughter and his son grow up to be just as grand individuals as he was. This is obviously going to be a very tough marker in their childhood. I know what it's like to grow up without a dad, and it's extremely hard. You know, you have to figure out a lot of stuff no one will teach you because no one knows how to teach a young man other than a person who's been a young man. No one knows how to tell you how to deal with a young man except a person who has been a young man. So, yeah, his daughter and his son are going to have a pretty tough childhood no matter what. You know, it's super ironic. This is a CEO or, you know, co-owner of Turning Point America, because I really hope this is a turning point where we stop allowing people to make idle threats. You know, if you make an idle threat against someone, I don't know what should happen to you, but you shouldn't be left to believe that that was an okay thing to do. And they're still doing it. These leftists are still going out here and they're still making idle threats and they're saying things that would get people killed. And, you know, if the right person heard these words, this would be something that would kill someone. And they're still going out and they're still saying this stuff, and you know, people are still making excuses like, oh, well, that doesn't mean you should go kill them. It just happens to be where they live. So it's not, you know, it's not that he's saying that, you know, you shouldn't go kill Rick Scott, you know, previous governor of Florida. It's not saying that you should do that, but you should do that. You know, these people are left to live. Now, obviously, I'm quoting someone. These people are sick in the head, and truthfully, I don't know. I don't know what to do about them. What I do know is that they won't stop. They won't stop unless something stops them. That's how people are. I should really probably turn off my villager breeder. I know that they're overcrowded already. Yeah, talk about overcrowded. Hopefully I find a purpose for them. But yeah, you know, I believe human life is precious, but the person who killed Charlie Kirk, you know. Old Testament. It's got some pretty good ideas. I do love the Old Testament. I think we focus entirely too much on the New Testament, which is great, wonderful. I love the New Testament, but without the Old Testament, the New Testament isn't the same. we still include the Old Testament for reasons. And, I think that this man that killed Charlie Kirk is a prime example of why we have kept the Old Testament. So we know the laws, that God is at least has been okay with and probably, maybe, possibly still supports. It's truly an awful day to be an American. I don't say that lightly. I think Charlie Kirk could have easily been the next president of the United States if he ran. He believed in everything a good man should believe in. Like those trees, how they just barely touch. That's a beautiful, beautiful natural generation there. I think I'll keep that. I find it hard to discuss just how absolutely disgusted I am at the state of a nation we're in today. But I am so glad that we have a president who would come out and, denounce these kind of actions. And I think truly mean it. Because we've had presidents in the past who don't truly mean it. Who say, we don't know the reason why this would happen. We don't know the reason. And yes, we do. Charlie Kirk was a political and religious commentator, and he was killed by the same kinds of people who kill little children while they're praying. And you say, we don't know why this happened. Yes, we do. He was killed by the same people who kill children while they're praying. The same people who support innocent people dying on trains because they sat in front of the wrong people. Who support the hiding of that information and, don't want it to get out because it would look bad. And, the same people who would put it out as, these are evil people who are mad because a white woman died, even if that white woman was a leftist. Because she apparently had these photos on her Facebook of her having Black Lives Matter signs on her wall. Not even y'all are safe. You're the wrong. You look wrong, You're not the right kind of person. You're not safe either. Your beliefs won't save you. They may not make you a target immediately, but you're still a target. You're not safe because you believe something different. Because if you let insane people out of jail and you let mental illness run rampant in the streets and you let this stuff happen, you are the reason why people are dying in the streets and dying at school campuses and dying in these places. And you can blame the gun all you want, but you're a retard. It's just plain and simple. You're not an intelligent person. You're I saw a woman come on the other day, and she was saying, like, oh, I guess sandwiches don't make themselves. And she seemed really, really impressed that she could come up with that. And I'm like, you're right. Sandwiches don't make themselves. You make a sandwich. And like, it didn't seem to click with her. I'm not sure if she was a special interest, kind of woman, where she has to take special classes to but that's the kind of people that are likely cheering about this. It's like, oh, you supported these guns, and now that they're attacking you, you're blaming the people. It's like, yeah, we blame the people every time. We don't ever blame the gun. That's a weird thing to do, and we don't do that because the gun didn't make the choice. I've been basically obsessed with this, and since it's happened, my brain hasn't stopped thinking about Charlie and what's going to happen to us as a country. Because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I pray so very deeply that we make it out of this and we don't kill ourselves as a country. I truly do. I don't know how we get out of this though. Because the day of and the day after, we're still getting people saying the same stuff, saying the same threatening things like someone has to do it, and we all know what it means. We all know what it means. There's not a doubt in my mind that every single person who says it means what they say, and every person who hears it knows what it means. And that's where we are. We have no other course of action but to either make legislation or fight back. And I don't want to fight back. So I hope something gets passed that says, hey, these kind of actions aren't permissible. Going out and saying that somebody's got to do it might actually be saying there's a fire in a crowded theater. People who are actually insane and, believe reality is moldable by words, perhaps they should not be let loose in society. Perhaps that was not the best idea that our people have ever had. And you say, well, that would be like false imprisonment. It's not false. And it's hardly imprisonment. And we've had it before in our country, and our country had a lot less crime and a lot less problems then. No, the 10th arrest, maybe the 10th arrest of a possibly violent arrest, you know. Don't let the guy out ever again. How about that? You know, like that includes white people. I'm not saying that to be racist, obviously. But you know, people will claim that it is racist. They're idiots. Their lackluster intelligence shines through better than anything else. I'm going to use this as my diving area, where it's just like, under here. That's going to be my cave system, probably down there, because it has, like, glow shrooms and stuff, and I like the glow shrooms. But yeah. I don't know how we got here as a country. It's truly shocking to me that a country founded with such immaculate ideals such as ours lets ourselves fall because of people's soft and fragile opinions. You know, legally, we are allowed to form militias and stuff, and I guess that's probably what they thought they were doing, these mentally ill freaks. Is they were forming a one-man militia to take care of the oppressive Charlie Kirk. It's hard to imagine the heads of these people who believe that reality can be shaped by words in such a way that defies reality. Because obviously words do shape reality. However, you cannot shape reality with words alone. There has to be meaning behind them. And these people with nothing to say but meaningless drivel are not people who should be attempting to rewrite reality. And that may sound harsh, and that may sound mean, but I don't care. This one specifically was a murderer, and I don't care how they feel. And it's not just been one or two murderers, it's been a lot of them. And it's been endemic of this community that I'm thinking about, and they shouldn't be allowed to continue murdering. And I don't see any of them sad about this. Granted, I've done my best not to see them. However, how obvious they are in the society, it's very hard not to see them, and I do not see them. I don't see them apologizing. I don't see them praying for their family. I don't see them. And maybe I'm just missing the good ones. Who knows? But I think we need a new precedent where the mentally ill are not allowed to walk free. Oh, great. Pidgeot's paralyzed. Take him out. I do think Hollywood and all these other leftist propagandists, they're all to blame as well. They're not innocent. Anyone who thinks they're innocent is a fool. It's quite obvious to me that this is a much larger thing than just one actor. This is not just a single actor who woke up one day and said, I'm going to go kill this man. That is ludicrous as an idea. This is a societal movement that's been happening for a very long time. Famous streamers have been calling for the head of senators, and you know, every time someone comes up and says something a little bit on the right side, which Charlie Kirk was not a little bit on the right side. He was the nicest man on the right. And there is not a better man on the right than he, and you killed him. If I had one thing to say to the killer of Charlie Kirk, it would be something along the lines of, you should probably repent and believe in God now, because I hope you don't live much longer. I truly believe that murderers should not be allowed to walk free. You made children orphans, and you made a wife a widow. It'd be disrespectful to allow you to live to those people. And I respect them with all my heart. And I hope that they don't have to make the choice. I hope that choice is made for them. And that you don't ever get the chance to see them, other than being distraught by what horrible things you've done to them. I truly hope that God touches your heart. Is that the Pokemon I really want? I think it is. I have to catch this guy, and then hurry up and catch that one. Because I think that's the one I want. My flying type. Yeah, it is. You're the one I want. You're the one I need. You a guy? You're a girl. Oh, my current flying type is a girl anyway, so Placing it for the Pokemon I have for the Pokemon I want is still an upgrade. I still want a male guy, though. I want my team to be all male. It's something I do. It's weird, I know. It's so weird how slow this guy walks. Okay, that was a bad example because he teleported. Like, that's how fast he walks, but then when you ride him, it's like... Meow. Meow. Like, totally different speed, right? Is there a villager with a backpack? There's a villager with a backpack over here. That's so funny. Guess he's just, like, under the ground here somewhere. Is I've seen Destiny and stuff talk, and they're talking about, like, I'm not going to lower the temperature until I see a Republican lowering the temperature, and I'm like, you're the people who killed someone. Why should we have to do the work? This should be on you. There's no excuse for expecting it out of others when you're the people who have done the horrible thing. But I can't honestly go out and expect good things out of these people because this is the kind of people they are. They have no personal accountability. They have no beliefs other than my rights are my rights and you should die. That's what they believe, and you can see that very thoroughly, especially in people like Destiny who, has sexual and relationships with married women and then posts the video online without the woman knowing. And then, that's the kind of woman Destiny is. He's not a man. He's not even a boy. Even boys are better than that. It's a shame to call him a woman, but he's a creature. He's a cretin, and he's barely a person. Calling him a woman is disrespectful to women. Because no one deserves to be called what Destiny is. There's no words for him. And Hassan Piker, he's no better. He's the kind of man who would go to a brothel that's known for sex trafficking children. That's the kind of man that Hassan Piker is, and he's a sick, sick individual, and he refuses still to say that this was a horrendous event, and that's the kind of man he is, and that's symbolic of his character. The fact that he refuses to say that murdering your opponent is wrong. He supports terrorists. He's an evil man. The news media is so obviously tainted with the same plague that these people are, as they claim that the shooting was probably just a supporter shooting their gun off in the air, and the gun happened to be exactly pointed at Charlie Kirk's throat. That's the kind of media we have in the country today. And They say the narrative doesn't exist. That's what they say. There's no narrative. How can you possibly say there's no narrative when you claim that an obvious assassination and martyr is claimed to have been killed by a supporter who was shooting their gun off in the air at a college campus? And then some people claim it was a school shooting. Son Piker, looking at you. This is not a school shooting. It's a shooting that happened at a school. This is an obvious assassination attempt. There was one bullet. And it happened to hit a man directly in the throat. One bullet did. No one said, oh, it was a rally shooting whenever, Trump was shot. It wasn't a rally shooting. It was an assassination attempt. People are scared to call it what it is, because that would imply that their side has done something wrong. That the other side could be a victim. And, for a while, I might have believed that we couldn't be. When this happened, I was still thinking, oh, we can't be shot. God is on our side. But God may be on our side. But his plan doesn't always seem to be as cut and dry as your side will never die. That's not God's plan. Charlie Kirk is now in a better place. I've heard pastors say things like, the left is obviously evil, but the right isn't on our side either. They just don't want us dead. And, that seems to be a very nice way to put it, but at the same time, I completely disagree. If one side wants you dead and the other doesn't, that is your side. That is the side that you should be on. No. And you can evolve that side into being closer to God. Because that is your side now. You're on that side now. It doesn't matter. The side that doesn't want you dead when the other does is your side. And I don't know how else I could possibly put that. Because one side wants us dead. Plain and simple. That's what they want. And, we can't stoop to that level. One side wants infinite illegal immigration from countries that do not support the same values and beliefs that we do. They want infinite healthcare, which we can't afford as a nation, and the only reason why any other country could ever afford it is because we pay them to, and they want us to continue paying their healthcare while also making sure that every single United States citizen has the perfect amount of healthcare and can never die because they become immortal. Because infinite healthcare that's how that happens, We have now infinite doctors because there's infinite healthcare, and, they're with the increase of people going to the doctor because they're paying for it anyway through their tax dollars, there has to be some kind of increase in doctors, and there definitely won't be waiting lines out the wazoo. And, obviously this is the case. There. completely justified in every way, and there's nothing bad that they could ever want, so obviously nothing bad could come out of their policies. That's where we are, you know. They can do no wrong. We have done all the wrong. There's nothing we can say to defend ourselves. We can only hope to be shot as quickly and killed as quickly as Charlie Kirk was. But you know, we can't let that be the truth. We have to keep standing up, and you know, we have to tell these people that they're wrong. We have to tell them that this is they're not the only people in the world that matter. And you know, they're wrong about a lot of things. And they won't believe it, and you have to keep telling them. And they still won't believe it. And they'll still want to kill you. It's hard. Put my words into working order. In a bucket. You cannot put frogs in a bucket. This is terrible news. Third worst news I've gotten this week. Ah. It aggravates me to know how people see me and know that I have to see them in a better light because it's my belief system that commands me to. Truly not one of my favorite things to do is lower myself enough to believe that there is helping these people. It's not my favorite thing to do by any means. You're also a female. Why is that? I already have a female. It's not worth getting two females. Want a male. Such a rare Pokemon too. Oh, that's a lot of creatures. I do need plenty of gunpowder. Which works. Stop shooting at me, so I don't really need more music discs at this point. Hello there. Darn it. How could this happen? I hit him like 3 times. Interesting. Oh, there's a slime. Thought I heard you. Hello, Enderman. I also need ender pearls, so you will be a great addition to my kill slot. Thank you. Thank you for the music disc I already have. I believe that was blocks. You next. Thank you. Good stuff. 21 gunpowder, 1 ender pearl. Only 1? Aw, darn it! My looting 4 is not doing me well. Or is it looting 3? I forget. Max level either way. Okay. You, sir, are mine. Oh, he teleported because he hit the water. Whoopsie. You too? I have 6. Cool. And you're the one I want. Are you ever male? Or am I just extremely unlucky? I have to look this up because I'm not going to waste my time looking for something that doesn't exist. Are Dreepy ever male? Okay, so it is a 50% gender ratio. I'm just extremely unlucky. With 4 female Dreepy in a row. I'm glad I can distract myself now. I might have gotten everything I needed to get out. I needed to talk about it because it was messing with my psyche, you know? I'm very glad that I could get it all out. Yes, an hour of 40 minutes is all I needed just to be able to talk about it with someone. It was blocks. I was right earlier. I know my music discs. Very annoying that I have to kill all these zombies because I need to level up my librarians. Not my librarians, my alchemists. Chillax. Oh man, no dreepies. Oh, hello, dolphin. Could really use some of this kelp, I think, so it's nice. Ooh, holy crap. Whoa! What if I add for alligator to this mix? Wow. Wow. I don't think it changes too much, but definitely adds some level of control. Whoa, cool cave, dude. Water ravine. Alright, take a breath of air. Oh, too fast. What if I were to just take you? Can I take you? Don't die on land, right? Can I grab you? What is this? Sunken ship. Have someone got it already? Right off the coast, so I'd be surprised if no one did, but no one's got this one yet. Okay, but can I pick up a dolphin? That's the question. I don't see the dolphins anymore. Well, that sucks. Oh well. Could you imagine just having a dolphin and then, like, moving it around whenever you need it? If picking it up in your inventory didn't, like, automatically basically just let you have it. Ooh, put a crafting table out here. Silly goose. There's no crafting tables. Go! I go in dedicated places for crafting tables. Alright. Boing, boing, boing. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel like that's most of what I think these days. I just really don't know what to do. I wish there was some way to know. Anyway, I guess I appreciate you guys for coming to listen. It's been good being able to get that off my chest. Probably gonna end stream. I think I said most of what I needed to say. I'm terribly sorry to the family of Charlie Kirk, and I'll keep you guys in my prayers. And for all of you guys, stay strong. You know, don't back down because of a couple of absolute idiots who think it's okay to kill their political enemies. If you're, left wing, maybe consider not being that. At least take a look at your own party and see what they're saying about this tragedy, Some of them seem to be coming out and saying that this is a horrible thing, but then they all claim that they don't know who did it when anyone who has any brain is very clearly knowing who did this. And all the signs point to the right people. So, until next time, I'll see you guys around. Hope you guys have a blessed day. God bless, guys. God bless.